Why can't some people get off prednisone? This comes from prednisone warrior Catherine. Thank you for your question, Catherine. So why can't people get off prednisone? So there's many reasons, and I'm going to go back to the foundations. So back to the fact that prednisone is a mimic of our body's naturally occurring hormone, cortisol. And the way cortisol normally works in our bodies is there's a signal between our this place right above our kidneys called the adrenal gland, our hypothalamus, and our pituitary glands in our brain. And it's a cycle. They have to keep getting signals from each other or they shut the system down. So it's like if there was a spy network and they have to like send their signal every 2 weeks, like send a message, however it is they send it every 2 weeks, or if the message isn't sent, that means that the spy network has been compromised. So shut down the spy network, right? So when the signals are somehow changed, then they shut it down. So one of those signals is how much cortisol is in your body. And so when you get high cortisol, either naturally occurring or by giving your body prednisone or another steroid, it's telling your hypothalamus and your pituitary gland, oh, there's too much. We don't need any right now. And it shuts down the message to the adrenal gland to make cortisol. No more cortisol is being made. Your body is not making cortisol if you're taking more than 2.5 milligrams of prednisone or something about there. Your body simply just doesn't make it. Okay? So the question is, why can't you get off prednisone? The first reason you can't get off prednisone is because prednisone has turned off that system. And it's not a light switch. It's like a sunrise. It slowly gets brighter and brighter and brighter over time, and not like over an hour. I'm talking like over days to weeks to months. It's slowly like it's like an engine on a train, like chugga, 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 right? Like then it's going fast enough to get that big, heavy train going. It takes a long time for the adrenal, it's called the HPA axis, hypothalamic-pituitary-adrenal axis, to turn back on. It's a very complex process that for some people, they can turn it back on pretty quickly. Like they taper off prednisone slowly, and then their body turns back on and they're okay. But for other people, the system just doesn't turn on as quickly. Maybe the messages aren't being received as well. Nobody really knows for sure. So that's one part of it, is that to get off prednisone, you must replace the prednisone with the naturally occurring hormone cortisol. So that's the one side, is you have to turn on the HPA axis. You have to make your own prednisone equivalent cortisol, okay? But then there's the other side, and that is your reason for taking the prednisone. Whatever disease you have, whether it's rheumatoid arthritis or asthma or COPD, whatever it is, whatever purpose your doctor gave you prednisone to accomplish, that thing has to be under control, okay? So there's the cortisol, and then there's your disease. And so if you have a disease that flares, it has to be totally in remission in order to go off the prednisone, or it will flare back up. Okay? So finding the balance between your ability to turn back on your cortisol system and your disease not flaring, it's a really tricky balance. And so no matter what, you need to be tapering off the prednisone slowly over time while listening to your body having symptoms of withdrawal, which is when this isn't turning back on, or symptoms of flares, which is your disease coming back. So let's give an example of a person who might be taking prednisone for a common reason, which is called PMR, polymyalgia rheumatica. This is where there's inflammation in the shoulders and other places throughout the body that can basically only be treated with prednisone. Otherwise, they can't like lift their hand even to drink a cup or to strap a bra or whatever. Like The shoulders are in so much pain that the person is functionally disabled. They cannot do things on their own. Taking the prednisone makes it so they suddenly can just take a cup and drink it, no problem. So with PMR, you start out at a certain dose. Let's say it's 20, and then you slowly taper off over months, sometimes over years, slowly over time. But let's say at 7.5 milligrams, suddenly the shoulders start aching. Uh-oh, the disease is flaring. So you go back up to 10, and you're okay. The shoulder aches went away. You're okay. You can still use your arm. So now instead of going from 10 to 7.5, you go 10 to 9. But you're feeling a little twinge of the pain coming back. You're like, oh man, go back to 10. And this person then has to kind of stay at 10 for a while until the disease can just simmer down. And back to the inflammation being like a fire, that you kind of need to keep like if this is the fire and this is a hose, you kind of have to keep a little bit dribble of water on there to keep that fire from erupting. And so it really depends on how much fire you have, how much inflammation you have. And every single person's inflammation is different. So that could be why everybody has a different ability to get off prednisone, because your ability to restart the cortisol making system and your ability to get your flares under control is different for every single person. And so it could be that you have issues with your cortisol system that is going to take you a very long time to recover, or maybe you never will recover, and that's called adrenal insufficiency. Or your disease needs more treatment, and that is, maybe another medication to come on board. And so that combination means you've got to find where is that balance for you of trying to get off prednisone, and then also just accepting, look, prednisone allows me to have a life. If you have rheumatoid arthritis, I can actually open my own cup, like jars. I can actually drive. I actually have the grip strength to drive on my own without debilitating pain. It's always about finding for you specifically, where is the benefit and where is the risk? And if being on prednisone is what your body needs, just accepting it, realizing that, oh, this is what my body needs. I need to have 5 milligrams of prednisone every day for the rest of my life. And if that's the case, that's okay. It's okay. I know I preach about like how bad prednisone is for you, but if you cannot get off of it, that's okay. At least you're alive. At least you're able to take care of yourself and, live, just being there for your family and your friends. That's okay if it takes 5 milligrams a day to do that. It really is. Getting off is a really good goal for a lot of people. But if you can't, just accepting it. Be like, look, I know this is potentially harmful, but also prednisone is a miracle. So that gets back to the name of this group. I heart/hate prednisone. I heart it because it's a miracle. It literally saved my life. I probably would be dead. I probably would have bled to death. If prednisone hadn't existed, if modern medicine didn't exist, I would probably be dead. But I'm here because prednisone existed. It also created some of the worst days of my life. It caused horrible side effects for me that I hated so much. So I heart it, I love it because it saved my life, and I hate it. So finding that balance for you is my goal, to help you reach acceptance at whatever that happens to be for you, and giving you the tools to make that the best balance of risks and benefits. That's my goal as a prednisone pharmacist, to help people find peace with whatever choice they need to make when it comes to their health on prednisone. Because I know some things about how to make prednisone as pleasant situation as possible. I know how to make you feel as well as you possibly can while on prednisone. So I want to share those here in this group, the I heart/hate prednisone support group. So if you have questions, please post them in the group and I will come here live once a week to answer them. Signing off is Dr. Megan, your prednisone pharmacist.